All right, you are recording, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to call to order the
This doesn't get
April.
any bigger.
It might have more people show up. This is all the people that are there.
Okay, if I clicked up there, it would.
You know,
So-
I clicked up there and I wound up in a little bit of trouble.
Okay.
Took a little
Everybody
time
mute.
out of it.
Okay, obviously this is a meeting that we're trying to do remotely, and our first effort. Thank you, Alan, for getting us going.
No.
So
Where is your name up there?
I suppose Alan will be town.
okay, and Mike,
I don't know
can
if
you
he's
hear
gonna be
us?
involved. That'd be 11,
Mike, can you hear us?
maybe 9.
Mike? Okay, so
Mike is probably the one who's identified by the 6 digits, since he's the only one I can hear that I can't recognize, because everyone else has their name associated with the phone or the account.
Shouldn't
So
matter. Should be done.
right.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Okay.
do the favor of just muting him for now. If you
Okay.
want to go forward.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, and thank you, Alan, for getting us set up and handling us, making sure that we meet our obligations under the open meeting laws. So we have a quorum. We're called to order. And the next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. And does anybody have any adjustments that they would like to suggest for the agenda? And I'll start. I'd like to add one item under new business, and that is appointment of committee members. And that's something that we
I hope I pop up and your face is going to come on. Who's that?
That we typically do in March, but we'll be doing it at this meeting. And are there any other items to add? Okay,
Now I
with
have like 12.
hearing none, and considering that addition, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Who's off the screen?
Mr. Chair,
Show up on the screen.
Yes.
The talker does.
you might want to advise Mr. Peranto that the microphones are very sensitive. And after that, you might want to consider where to put that on the agenda so it's properly addressed in the minute.
Yeah, and I wanted to put that under new business. Sorry. And Mike, can you hear
Oh,
us?
if I'm not on there, okay.
Mike, can you hear us?
Yeah, you're right, you're not starting on time.
Okay. Well,
Send him a text.
what's that?
I'll send him a text.
Okay. So I've made a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
9 participants.
Second.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion?
Typically too, Mr. Chair, I've been asking just because it is difficult to just do votes by roll call.
Understood. So can okay. So to do votes by roll call. Okay. Understood. Okay. So we have, is there any discussion? Okay. If there's no discussion, I'll call the vote and I'll vote aye. And if we could just go down the line and vote, is that what you're suggesting, Alan?
Yep, and I can certainly, since I've got the master list, Mr. Chair is aye. Marty?
Aye.
Mr. Costello?
Aye.
Ms. Longville?
Aye.
Scott, who's our newest member, who gets to participate for his first meeting virtually from
Aye.
Brentwood. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Gans?
Aye.
Cameron? Mr. Sijikan?
Aye.
Susie Mahoney is now aboard. Miss Mahoney, are you there? Miss Mahoney, are you there?
She was earlier.
I'm not sure. She appears in my screen and does not appear to be muted. Mr. Peranto, can you hear us?
I just do what they asked me to do.
Mr. Peranto, are you voting aye? Mr. Peranto, can you hear us? Ms. Mahoney, can you hear us? All right, well, I'm not quite sure what the issue is there, but I will call it as a majority ayes to approve the agenda, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you for that. So we're moving on to the next item on the agenda is the approval of the prior board meeting minutes. We didn't meet in March, so we're approving the February meeting minutes. And does anybody have any changes to those minutes? Okay, then I will make a motion to approve.
Second,
Who is that, please?
Marty.
Marty gets the 2. Mr. Chair, I would ask each of you to vote. Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Marty?
Aye.
Mr. Costello?
Aye.
Mr. Gans?
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney? No answer. Ms. Longville?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
And we'll try Mr. Peranto one more time. Mr. Peranto? And hi, Ms. Mahoney, I can see you. Can you hear us? I'm not sure what her audio problem is. She might not have the mic on, but anyway.
Okay.
Did I catch you, Cam, on the vote?
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay. Well, I would call that a majority by my count at any rate. So we have approved minutes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, public comments. We reserve 15 minutes for items that are not on the agenda. Is there anybody, Alan, in the meeting that would like to participate in the public comments?
Mr. Chair and members, there are 10 participants. I'm one of them. So there's 9 of you and 1 of me and no one in the waiting room. So I would regard that as a no.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, new business. And I'm going to put the committee member appointments first, and then we'll move on to the item that's beaches and marinas open or not this summer. So let me just get my stuff out. So here are the committee appointments, and I can send this also by email to Kim if you'd like, Alan.
Yeah, that would be helpful for the record. Yep.
Okay, so Lake Quality Committee, Chair Mike Peranto, and then member Diane Longville. Lake Utilization Committee, Chair Mark Gans, member Marty Rathmanner, and member Luke Machad. And Lake Education Committee, Chair Scott Costello, member Susie Mahoney, member Cam Sijikan. And those are the committee assignments. Thank you all for stepping up. And Scott O'Connor, we will, when you're more familiar with the board, we will get you participating as well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're on to another new business item, and that is beaches and marinas open or not this summer. And so, okay. Okay, so there was a question.
Brian, some feedback.
Yeah, I think it might be through Mike. Yeah, through Mike. Okay, so there was a question of whether the board, and I think this is right, but whoever put this on the agenda, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But the question is, should the board take a position on whether marinas or beaches are open or closed this summer and due to this coronavirus that we have going around? And I think it's new business, so we'll just treat this as a discussion item. And does anybody have anything that they would like to say about this item?
This item came up for me when
Susie?
I had a Birchwood resident come up to me and ask me about K Beach in particular being open. K Beach is the swimming beach in Birchwood. Has one dock on it, and the dock is 4 feet wide. There are no boats on K Beach, just all swimming. So the person who was concerned was saying, you know, there's no way to social distance on a 4-foot dock, which is very true. I guess personally, I would not recommend beaches be open per se, because I just don't think social distancing is possible. I think we have in Birchwood, we have 5 accesses, and the other 4 accesses are boat accesses that have, you know, a main dock and then have dock pieces going off to the side where people have their kind of like their stalls for their boats. And I could see those being very easy to keep your social distance on. So I guess my recommendation would be for, at least in the city of Birchwood, that the boat accesses be open and the beach be closed until the governor opens beaches in the state of Minnesota.
Okay, so basically follow the state guidelines for when to open public areas. Is that what I'm hearing, Susie?
Well, I'm not sure what the exact state guidelines are for opening public areas. I'm seeing some things opening, you know, like golf courses and that kind of stuff that are public things. But I guess the beaches are of concern to me because you've got so many people together and it's very hard. I mean, it's only a 50-foot beach to begin with. And then you've got people there. That social distancing aspect isn't going to be able to be kept with that kind of a situation, I don't think. I don't know, how does everybody else feel about beaches in their cities? I know Montemita has a beach too. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I don't think that this body has the authority to tell any of the municipalities what to do with property that they own. All we have is control of the water. I've put an email out to my mayor. He hasn't got back to me yet on what he's planning on doing with the beach. But other than that, I don't know, Alan, do we even have a leg to stand on in this? Or we can put out a statement, I suppose.
I think given the authority that you have pursuant to state law, it's hard to promulgate the closure of beaches or the use of private or docks owned by municipalities, especially when it comes to that. I think it'd be probably advisable to take the lead of the state. I did consult with the DNR about what their regulations are going to be, and they're as excited about the governor about getting people out and enjoying the resource. So I think the appeal would be to local mayors and authorities to essentially try to put out signage regarding social distancing and being smart about it. I don't see that we have the authority to pass any real edicts, you know, maybe just a nice friendly reminder to the locals from the district saying, you know, it is boating and beach season, you know, please be smart. I don't know what the rules are going to be at Ramsey Beach or whether Ramsey County is limiting access. It's not quite beach season yet, but I haven't seen anything from them. Again, when I talked to when I talked to DNR last week, they weren't doing anything beyond essentially what the governor was recommending.
And I don't know that I know what the governor is recommending. What is he recommending as far as beaches? That we
I don't think he's recommending anything other than just generally speaking good social distancing and smart hygiene practices.
And that's my concern with the beach. With our beach in here in Birchwood, there's not a lot of places by any means for people to sit or to walk on the dock. Nobody's going to be coming and cleaning up after anybody or sanitizing anything. I mean,
that would be a terrestrial issue, though. That's the point.
Well, it wouldn't be terrestrial because it would be over the water.
Well, the beach is not over the water, but in any event, the DNR was very quick to point out that they had authority from the OHW out when it came to low water, and we didn't. And obviously, if it's from that point inland, it's a terrestrial issue. So Anyway, the board can do it at once. I just don't know as we have the authority to really order beaches closed or no swimming or what have you. It's just a matter of authority, really.
Okay, does anybody else, well, I'll do this just to move the conversation along. I'll make a motion that we add something to our website that encourages people to observe social distance, practice, and and I'll try to come up with a better motion here. To make a motion that we add some verbiage to our website that suggests or recommends that marina and beach users adhere to social distancing and recommendations of the Minnesota state government.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
So in these beaches that have 4-foot docks on them, are we going to let the docks be put into the water? I mean, we do have authority over what goes into the water.
My view on that, Susie, is that I know it'd be difficult, but even with a 4-foot dock, theoretically, you could have social distancing, and I know that may be a little fragile, but I think it's in my view, it's okay in this situation to let people make their own good decisions.
I guess I don't understand how you put social distance on a 4-foot dock personally. If you've got people coming and going, I don't see that someone would walk to the end of the dock and that someone on the access would wait until that person got off the dock to get on the dock. And then you'd have those people going back and forth. And they'd be within 4 feet of each other, which is not what the governor's recommended. He's recommended 6 feet. Yeah,
I think it would be a situation that you described, Susie, where people would have to be on the dock one at a time, or 6 people, depending on how long the dock is. People go out, and we would just have to trust them to do the best they can in that situation. It's kind of like walking by somebody on the sidewalk or in the grocery store, this kind of thing.
I think I was at Home Depot this morning. It's sort of the same deal. People are either going to observe it and wear their mask and do what they're supposed to do, or they're not. And I don't think we can be judge and jury of that. I think you just let people use their common sense. And if, I guess if there's people that aren't using their common sense, that I don't know that we can control that. I think we have to let people be mindful of their own actions.
I think, this is Scott. I think that we certainly could put something on the website. I think we have to be kind of careful about giving our advice because things are in motion, at the state level, and I think that these questions will be answered. I don't think it'll be for us to really make the judgment call. However, people will call our office with these kind of questions. Well, can I use my, what about the marinas? What about this? What about that? And we don't have connect. So I think we would sort of if we put anything on the website, I think we'd have to be very careful about keeping it up to date. If the orders are coming from the state, the counties, and the cities and, their marinas, and actually all the beaches, every one of those beaches is owned by an authority that'll be making their rules about that beach within the state, whatever the state decides. So I don't really think that we have much of a direct role, perhaps an education role, but I think we have to be very careful about what we put out there because our website is not updated on a day-to-day basis. So unless someone in the office could really be totally on top of what all those other government bodies are saying, then we have to be very careful about putting out-of-date information on the website or information that could be out of date tomorrow, unless somebody is checking it every day. Or we could put something on the website, with, if we could find the links to the, whatever the state's saying about this, whatever the cities and the counties and their beaches and what their rules are. I think a direction thing for somebody coming to our website looking for that kind of information. I think we can't really keep it up to date ourselves, but if we can find links to the proper authorities, I think the main thing is you better check those links and so what the rules are on the beaches and on the marinas, etc.
I think that's a great idea, that we should just have links to the government agencies and say, here's where you can check this.
Yeah.
Because right now, marinas are open. Anybody who deals with docks, putting them in or out, are working. And that was a governor's order. So, yeah, just keep everybody up to date with whatever the government's telling us to do.
Yeah, and it would be convenient if we could have a good reference. I'm always worried about that web, especially with something that could change day to day like this.
Mm-hmm.
That our website could very quickly, get out of order. And I don't know if we should be giving, instructions on how to move around, shared docs.
Well, not only that, we've got 5 municipalities. So we don't know what they're going to do specifically. So I like I said, I put a word out to the mayor, to Mayor Marshall in Matamidi, to see, are you going to open the beach? Are you going to put the dock out, the city dock out? What are the plans? And I'm assuming that I don't have an answer back because they don't have an answer for me. But I'm sure it's going to have to come. It's going to warm up. It's going to be 70 and people are going to want to get out.
And I think in Birchwood, Mary Wingfield has been waiting for the Conservation District to give us some direction as far as what we should be doing here in Birchwood. Cameron, have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't. And I mean, my opinion on it is there's plenty of media coverage in regards to COVID-19. I would agree. We just put a link on our website. We don't want to get involved, and I don't think we want to take beaches away from people either.
Someone mentioned the use of signage. Is that signage that the Conservation District would put out, or is that signage that the cities would be responsible for?
I see that as the city's responsibility, Susie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or whoever owns the beach, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's their beach. They've
County or
got to
city.
manage it. Yeah. I don't think we're going to have an overriding authority.
Okay.
Okay, so to keep the record, any other further discussion on that? Okay, so my motion mentioned social distancing, and so I would like to draw my motion, and okay with the second. I can't remember who seconded that motion.
I did.
Yeah.
I second that.
Okay, so is that okay if I withdraw that motion, Cam?
Yes.
Okay, so then I would like to make another motion that we add a link to our site, to our website, that people can get up-to-date information, or and then also a message, please follow the guidelines recommended by state and local bodies of government.
What's the link, Mr. Chair?
We would find one, Alan.
Okay.
Hello?
So is there a second?
Second.
Want to be a little
Okay, we
more
have
specific.
motion. on the link?
On the link, yes.
So I'll say a link to the state government website.
We could also put links to each individual city website.
That's true.
That's right. I think we could go as crazy as we want on that. So maybe, provide links to local units of government and the state onto the website.
Okay. Is Kim able to do that?
Yeah, I think between Kim and our web support company, we should be able to get that done. Do you think that's the case, Scott?
Oh, yeah.
right.
The problem is the work to find all the proper websites, links,
Yeah.
and make sure they're up to date. And you probably want an introductory sentence, right? Or paragraph saying that it's important to follow this and this, and if you're saying Birchwood and there's a beach, it's Birchwood Beach. Hopefully Birchwood will have some information. I mean, the governor might very well say beaches are open with these rules.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to override everything.
Okay.
Right.
So, and I don't know, well, Alan can find the thing. It's really the work and finding all the things you need.
Yeah, I'll find a link to the governor's office regarding current COVID, and I think maybe a link to DNR if they have one, just because people are going there looking to what they can do and can't do.
Yeah, and the regulations are changing on like a week-to-week basis.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's why I don't want to really copy it on our website.
Right. I think it's better just to link to it so that we don't have to be the ones keeping it up to date.
Yeah, it'll refresh as they refresh the page. So
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Are you okay with that motion?
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Second.
Yep. So Mark seconded it. Any discussion? Okay, so I'll call the vote.
I'll just call the roll.
Yep.
If I will. Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Mr. Costello.
Aye.
Sijikan. Cameron.
Aye.
Susie Mahoney.
Aye.
Diana Longville.
Aye.
Mark Gantz.
Aye.
Marty Rathmatter.
Aye.
Scott O'Connor.
Aye.
And I've still got Mike Peranto participating. Mike, can you hear us?
Yes.
Are you an aye?
Yes. Aye.
Right. Welcome aboard. All right, with all ayes, that passes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Susie, for raising that item, by the way. So now we're on to the next item on the agenda, unfinished business. And item on the agenda is geese population. And I'll just get us started. We had a citizen that came and visited the board to discuss or encourage the board to conduct a goose control operation this spring. And my opinion is that because we missed our March meeting, it's probably not reasonable that we could get something like that organized this year. And I would like to push this item into a future meeting for discussion sometime this summer.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Do it.
So the motion is to put the goose population control discussion on hold for now and to bring it up in a future meeting.
You could also refer it to Lake Quality Committee too.
I think at the moment we'll just do it this way.
Okay.
So that's the motion and we have a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, Alan, will you call the vote, please?
I will, Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Mr. Costello. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Sijikan.
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye.
Ms. Longville,
Aye.
Mr. Gans,
Aye.
Mr. Rathmaner,
Sorry.
Marty,
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
and finally, Mr. Peranto.
Aye.
All right, that's all ayes, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. So we're moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 8, reports and action items. The first item on the agenda is executive committee. And I'll give that report. So as Alan mentioned earlier, but maybe some of you weren't on the meeting at that point, but Scott O'Connor from Delwood is our new member. So welcome, Scott. Sorry that you have to be introduced to everybody this way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And when we do get together, then we will get a little more formal introduction for you. And also thank you for being willing to serve, Scott.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Scott is my next door neighbor and a wonderful guy, so we're happy to have him on the committee. He will do a fabulous job.
Thanks, Marty.
Nice.
I can't imagine how he got drafted.
All right.
Time it
Well,
wasn't me.
again, welcome.
Marty's not talking.
Okay, so we're on to the next item, which is annual renewal of the Ramsey County Water Patrol contract. And everybody should have a copy of that contract in their board packet. And this is, just as background, this is something that the board has done for the last, well, I don't know how long, but for a long time, to enter into a contract with Ramsey County to provide service, patrol on the lake, that kind of thing. And I will make a motion that we approve this agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
I would ask too that the seconder identify themselves, please, as we do this.
Gans, second.
Got it.
Okay, any discussion?
As I looked that over today, Brian, that looked like it would be, what was it, $41.90 at $40 an hour per person. So you're talking 120 hours for the entire summer. That doesn't seem much. I mean, you're looking at, if you look at 12 weeks at 120, you're looking at 10 hours a week. Is that 5 hours each day of the weekend?
You know, it's a good question, Susie, and we had some discussion about that last fall, I recall, and we really leave it up to the county, the sheriff's department, to determine when it's best for them to be out there. And I think it's my understanding from those discussions was that you know, they try to focus on the busy times, you know, not a Monday morning, but a Saturday afternoon kind of a thing. And then the other thing was that even if we bought more hours, there was a question of whether they would be able to fill those hours with this personnel that they have.
Okay.
So this is, I think this is in line with what we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we can always, you know, as we get into the season, if something comes up, you know, that we think would benefit by having more patrol on the lake, we can always bring those things up and amend this agreement.
Okay. We did also have some residents off of the island last fall, remember coming to the meeting, giving a check for additional money to have more patrolling on the lake. Has that group come back at all?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
No, and if I can just say, I remember that meeting pretty well. And the fact of the matter is the Ramsey County is no longer allowed to have part-time patrols out there, and that's what they used to use mainly. So now they have to use full-time deputies, and they just don't have the staff, and neither does Washington County. So even if we had the money, they don't even know if they could handle us. And Washington County's dealing with the river.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have a motion, and I believe we have a second. Is there any more discussion? Alan, will you call the vote, please?
I will, sir. Same order as before, Mr. DeSmet. Chair?
I think he's frozen.
Alan?
Can you hear me?
He's frozen.
Aye.
There he is.
Okay.
Costello,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Susie,
Aye.
Diane,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Marty,
Is that
Aye.
better?
Scott,
I can hear you.
Aye.
and
You're
finally
frozen. We
Mike.
can hear you.
Mike Peranto.
Aye.
All right, all ayes, Mr. Chair, passes.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving on to the Lake Quality Committee. Mike?
Okay, lake quality. Lake level is 925.01. It's about 3 to 4 inches higher than last year at this time. So it stays up very high. Water temperature is 43 degrees, which is about average for this time of year. The bid survey, I got a bid from Blue Water Science, which is Steve McComas, to do milfoil and to check all the weeds, do a weed inventory, and to also search for starry stonewort. Now we've added that to it, and to complete the findings and put in a booklet and to present it to the board. Last year the bid was $3,300, but we did quite a few more sites last year. We'll replicate that. We're doing almost 400 sites. So we're covering more and more of the lake every year. He increased his quote to $3,400, so he only increased it $100. We had budgeted for $3,300, but we're going to need to pay him $3,400. So I guess I'll have to make a motion that we accept his bid at $3,400, the extra $100 coming from the general fund.
Second, Gans.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Is that 3,400 or 34,000? What?
When we get to the treatment, it'll be in the thousands. but
Oh,
this is
right. Okay, this is just for the survey. Okay, just for the survey.
$3,400.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, Alan, will you call the vote, please?
I will, yes, sir. Mr. Chair,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Mr. Sijikan,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney,
Aye.
Ms. Longville,
Aye.
Mr. Gans,
Aye.
Mr. Rathmanner,
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Peranto.
Aye.
All ayes, Mr. Chair. $3,400 passes.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Mike? Okay, thank you, Mike.
One more item.
Oh.
I need to request a bid for the treatment. So I'll
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead- just notification. I'll go ahead and do that. And we have plenty of time for that because the treatment won't come for a couple months yet. I don't think milfoil is going to take a break. And then later we have to talk about Phragmites too. The other thing at this time, and I'll call Kim, would be send out the swimmer hitch letter. At least we'll be prepared in case the beaches, in case the cities decide to treat for swimmer's itch and the beaches are open. That's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Did you say, Mike, that the lake was up 4 inches?
Yeah, from last year, it was 94.88 last year at this time. And from last fall, it's up about 3 inches, so.
And
it's up.
what is it currently?
95.01. The other day, it was 95.12.
925,
Yeah.
right?
Nine,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the ordinary high water? I'm sorry, is it like 24 point? Something?
924.3 something. I have it written down somewhere.
No, I believe you. Thank you.
Okay.
And the water's flowing out. I mean, the ditches, well, I suppose you could figure it out. It looks like it's about 18 inches deep. So it's been running since last year.
Is that water running into Bald Eagle or is that running into?
Running into Bald Eagle.
Okay.
The Bald Eagle had an open area. It's quite near Buffalo, where it runs in, and it was open all winter long.
Okay.
much like you'd see over by, in Goose Lake,
Yeah.
where the water runs in from the ice cream plant or the milk plant.
Hmm.
It was like that over there where it ran in from White Bear.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So we're on to the Lake Utilization Committee. Mark?
Yeah, the first is White Bear Yacht Club Racing. And I didn't speak to Marty too much about this, but I've talked to Luke about it. Everything looks fine, same as last year. They've coordinated with Black Bear like they always do. So, you know, we didn't have an LUC meeting. So this is, so I motion to pass
Second.
or approve.
Toronto.
Are you recommending the first item?
I'm recommending that we approve the White Bear Yacht Club Racing Team's agenda for the summer
Okay.
schedule.
Second, anyone?
Mike.
Second,
Who got that?
Okay.
Marty.
All right.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alan, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. DeSmet.
Thank you, or yes, or aye.
There you go. Mr.
Yep, got it.
Costello. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Sijikan.
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye.
Ms. Longville.
Aye.
Mr. Gans.
Aye.
Mr. Rathmanner.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Mr. Peranto.
Aye.
All right. White Bear Yacht Club race team is adopted.
Next on the agenda is Black Bear Racing Team. Same thing. They've coordinated. And I make a motion to approve their schedule.
Who would like the second?
Second,
Identify yourself again.
Marty. Second,
Again, if
Okay,
you
we have a
can
motion.
Identify yourself before you say second. That will help me. I'm not watching the screens.
sorry, Marty. Second,
Okay, we have an official motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Alan, will you call the vote, please?
I will, sir. Mr. DeSmet.
Aye.
Costello.
Aye.
Sijikan.
Aye.
Mahoney.
Aye.
Longville.
Aye.
Gans.
Aye.
Rathmanner.
aye.
O'Connor.
Aye.
Peranto.
Aye.
All right. Black Bear Racing Team is passed.
Next on the agenda, Cottage Park. This is new to us. They've been kind of operating sort of under the radar, and somebody in their neighborhood was like, hey, you know, we should be doing this. So they put in an application, and we've never had a complaint there, ever. So we've looked at it, and it looks to be pretty good. And in my opinion is that we should just let them run things the way they are. They now are all to order. They've been very cooperative with us, and I move to approve.
Marty. Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I didn't quite understand in that whole packet part or that portion of the application, where exactly is their dock? I know where the
It's right around the corner from the marina, and it's on White Bear Lake City property, and the city is, they're okay with that neighborhood using those. There's two lots there. One they can use, and one is kept more of like park nature reserve kind of area. So I've talked to Ellen, and they're like, yeah, we've already told them. We didn't realize they weren't contacting you, but they're fine with us.
Yeah. It's kind of hidden back there in the corner, sort of like in Brigadoon or something.
Is it beyond the fishing dock?
Yes. It's around the corner from Lions Park.
Okay.
Yeah, it's inside the Cottage Park area. And even from the street, you can't see it.
No.
You just have to know the secret place to turn to get in there.
Okay. All right.
And I looked it over and it looks good. At least they're on the record now. And there's a certain number of boats and a configuration, everything we need. So
they had some tie-ups too, didn't they? 3 tie-ups?
yeah, there are tie-ups. I mean, all that has to be documented, and they did that. So I think they've done everything we've asked them to.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it so it's one dock.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It's kind
Okay.
of U-shaped, isn't it?
And I would mention, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, thank you, Alan.
I'm just going to take a wild guess and suggest that, is that Bob Nelson who's on here? There's an individual who's in the meeting.
Yes, it's Bob Nelson. I had that on mute.
Are you,
Thank you.
you're here representing the applicant, aren't you, Mr. Nelson?
Yes, I am, sir.
So I guess with that in mind, Mr. Chair, I kind of held back because I waited till this agenda item, but Mr. Nelson's available, I'm assuming, for questions about the application too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Bob. Hopefully we can just move this along. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Further discussion? Okay, Alan, will you call the vote, please?
I will, sir. Brian?
Aye?
Scott?
Aye.
Cameron?
Aye.
Susie?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Marty?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
All right, you have a Cottage Park Dock Association approval.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Nelson, you have your dock.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We can start working on it now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So Mark, we're back to you.
So the last one is East Shore Dock Association. That's on the Matamidi Beach. Happens to be the one where I keep my boat, so I will abstain. But I called Kim. There have been no complaints. And everything looks good. No change from last year. And I don't know if I can move to approve it, but I will, if that's okay.
I would not.
I won't then.
But I'll move.
I suggest that Mr. Rathmanner as another LUC member would be appropriate.
That I approve, or I move to approve it. Marty, a move to approve.
Thank you, Marty.
Longville, second.
But I'm gonna
Okay.
check up on GANs during the summer.
Good idea.
We should do that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alan, will you please call the vote?
Yes, sir. Mr. Disnet,
Aye?
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Sijikan,
Aye.
Mahoney,
Aye.
Longville.
Aye.
Mr. Gans is abstaining, I assume.
Abstention.
Mr. Rathmanner,
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Peranto.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Gans has a dock to put his boat on this summer.
Okay, any questions for Mark? Okay, thank you, Mark. We'll move on to the next item, the Lake Education Committee. Scott Costello.
Yes, not much to report. Since we skipped a month here, I could report on the lake cleanup effort on March 7th. We had a record turnout, and there actually was not as much junk out there this year.
Good.
So you know that's a good kind of problem. They had to pay for it. So we did have one other thing I'd like to point out is that we have these foam board signs that I set up, and they're pretty much have served their duty over the years, and they're pretty shot. We really need better signs, you know, like the kind like a sandwich board that would be set up, you know, in front of a restaurant or something. So we do need to get new signs for next year.
Is that to advertise the cleanup, Scott?
What was that?
Is that to advertise the cleanup?
It's, yeah, the signs, Susie, are, sorry, Scott, the signs, Susie, are just put up the day of. Scott went to the effort of putting up those signs so that people know, pull in here for the cleanup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got
it just says WBLCD Lake Cleanup,
Okay.
and it's put out on the curb so everybody knows where it is. When we get to it, we do need to order some new signs, and I might change the verbiage a little bit to spell cleanup properly. Cleanup can either be one word or a hyphenated word or two words, depending on whether it's a noun, a verb, or an adjective. And they chose the wrong one on these signs. So.
Okay.
So I can be the grammarian on that. Otherwise, I don't have anything else.
Okay, any questions for Scott? Okay, thank you, Scott. So moving on, next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Diane?
So we have two treasurer's reports to approve since we didn't meet in March. I'd like to make a motion to approve March 2020 treasurer's report checks 4629 through 4632.
Gans, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the checks. Any discussion? Alan, will you call the vote, please?
I will. Mr. DeSmet.
Aye.
Mr. Costello.
Aye.
Mr. Sijikan.
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye.
Ms. Longville.
Aye.
Mr. Gans.
Aye.
Mr. Rathmanner.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Mr. Peranto.
Aye.
All right, we have approved what we did.
Then the second one is April 2020 treasurer's report, she says. Does anybody have that in front of them for the check numbers?
I have it.
So could you make a motion for those check numbers, please? I can't pull that up right now.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve checks 4634 through 4637.
Second, Mahoney.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alan, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Brian.
Aye.
Scott Costello.
Aye.
Cameron.
Aye.
Susie.
Aye.
Diane.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Marty.
Aye.
Scott O'Connor.
Aye.
Mike Peranto.
Aye.
All ayes, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Diane?
So, next on the agenda is the budget, correct? For 2021. Yes. So you received in your packet a copy of the budget for last year, and the budget for next year is empty. And if you would please take a look at the items and look at what committee you're on and see kind of what kind of numbers you're going to need to add into the budget. And if you could either give me an email or Kim an email and put those in, and then next month we'll add those into the budget and take a look at it and see where we're at.
Okay.
So like Scott, your signs that you need, that would be good to put in the budget for next year.
Okay, and just, and sorry, Diane, just to build on that for the new board members, what we have done historically is to introduce the budgeting process in April, and in May, we'll have, as Diane mentioned, we'll have the 2021 blanks filled in a preliminary way. and we'll have some discussion about those in May at our May meeting. And then finally at our June meeting, we will take action to approve the 2021 budget. Okay, anything?
We send that budget to the cities in July.
Okay. Any questions for Diane? Oh, sorry, Diane. You have more items, so onward.
Okay. The last item is we always send a copy of December's final treasurer's report and financial numbers to the cities. We usually do that in March, but since we didn't meet, that didn't get done. But what I included was the cover letter that will be sent to your cities. And then along with that will be the treasurer's report for December 2019. Because of the situation with Kim not being able to get into the office, what we'd like to do this year is to email this information to the cities as opposed to mailing it to them. And so I was wondering, would like to get your input as to what you think about that.
It seems like the only option, as long as we can't get into the offices.
Yeah.
It seems reasonable.
Okay. So if that's okay with everyone, we'll send those letters and the financial reports to the cities and do it that way this year.
Sounds good.
Okay, any questions for Diane? Okay, thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
So we're on to the board council report. Alan?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members, thanks very much. Thanks for joining this way. I don't know how many of you have become native Zoom users, but we're all becoming much better at this than we ever thought we were going to be in, shall we say, February. I've been obviously wrangling this technology. We didn't have Kim tonight. She couldn't make the meeting. So I'm obviously kind of running the show this way. So you know that this is not being simulcast directly. I will be sending this to essentially the Cable Commission after we're done as a recording that will then be available to them to post publicly. And so I've been riding herd on the technology and the meeting part of this and trying to maintain fairly regular contact with the DNR so that when things come up for the lake, we're on top of that. It's my understanding that we haven't heard back any sort of decision on the Tallies permit. There was a request made, and if you guys recall, back when we were all together, believe it or not, at the beginning of the year, to make a comment on the application that they had made to the DNR to expand their marina. And it's my understanding that hasn't been made yet. So trying to keep tabs on that as well. And I would stand for any questions.
Alan, can you refresh us on the Tallies' desire to expand? I don't recall that. I'm sorry.
Well, the position of the board was simply that the expansion that was allowed back when the expansion was requested, this is going back 10 years or so, was to the number of 42. And it's my understanding that that number creeped up to 50 during the low water times and should be, and I think was recommended to the DNR, be brought back to that because it was an expansion to get to that number in the first place. And I don't believe that I've seen, at least in the last probably several months, what the actual application was for, but I would suggest that it's probably somewhere, far in excess of 42.
Okay. Did we ever hear from the other marina, McGoldrick's marina, about the 225?
I haven't heard anything. I think that he's got probably an application process, if not pending, then probably before the city of White Bear, or at least there's discussions there. I think I sent all of you, because it was an FYI to me, that there is now litigation between that operation against both Tallies and the city. It's not with respect to parking or boats. It's actually with respect to the gas dock, the tank that's at the end of Whitaker Street.
Mhm.
And so I don't know what posture that's in. It was filed the day that I sent it out to you folks. So stay tuned that way. It doesn't affect any authority that we have. We don't license the operation of that. It doesn't come under the purview of our dock permits. So I sent it as an FYI. So I don't know what that's going to do to any pending permit action that they have. They should be two separate things, so they'd be treated separately. But I know that there was some question about how the city was going to manage that operation with the suggestion that there was going to be an event center there. I don't think that's going anymore. So honestly, I don't know I don't know if there's a permit process in place. Perhaps someone else on the board does.
No, all I know is last I talked to Kim, we're waiting for their conditional use permit for parking, which they haven't turned in yet to the city. So.
And that was Tallies? Or was that McGoldrick?
McGoldrick.
Okay.
Yeah, so does anyone recall what he had from last year? I don't know if he had a letter from the city last year. I thought Kim got one, but that might have been from the year before.
Yeah, it turns out, my recollection is that it turns out that Brian suggested that he had a letter, but then he didn't produce the letter.
Yeah, it seems to me that what was produced was the letter maybe from the year before.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in any event, I think he's still waiting for some sort of approval from the city, Ms. Mahoney, to answer your question.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Alan? Okay, thank you, Alan.
I was on, pretty recently with Kim before we started. I didn't have anything from her to report, so unless someone else did, again, we'll see her when she's feeling better.
Okay, well, I'll take the opportunity, since Kim's not here, just to talk about these meetings. My preference would be that we meet in person. Obviously, that's not the best idea at the moment. And so we're doing it this way. So I guess what I would say is stay tuned, and we will meet in person if we can, but if not, then we will continue to meet this way as long as we need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
you absolutely had to. I mean, if they can at least see to it to see the city hall open, I think you could probably get 7 or 8 of you guys around the Diaz at any one given time with staff sort of sitting out of camera view. So I think you could actually get fairly decent social distancing if you had to for next month, just FYI. I'm actually in the chambers. We were going to try and get this meeting simulcast, but due to technology and connectivity, couldn't quite get that done. But I'm standing amongst a bunch of munchies and juice boxes and SpaghettiOs that they're distributing in an empty City Hall chamber. So I think there's enough room here.
Okay, so that may be an option as well. All right, so I will make a motion, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Gann, second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Okay, Alan, will you call the vote, please?
For an adjournment, I'll just ask for a group aye.
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 Any nays? All right, I think you've got a full complement of adjournment.
Okay, thank you all for taking time to meet tonight, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right,
Thanks, Alan.
Good
Bye.
night.